Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our Championship semi-final preview as we look forward to Armagh taking on Monaghan this weekend. Joining us as always is Paddy Savage, and we welcome back Dessie Mone, who was with us for the league meeting a couple of weeks ago. And boys, we're looking forward to this game. But I know, Paddy, just to start us off, we had a passing in your club there last weekend. Kieran McKeever's mother had passed away, and I know you're just looking to touch on that to begin the podcast.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be appropriate, John. Anybody, I'm sure a lot of people listening would go to Armagh matches up and down the country, and if you did that, you'd have known Majella because she was such a fantastic supporter of Kieran's just throughout just throughout his whole career, and then as he's gone on to be a coach and reaching the top level there. It's I suppose when you're doing these things, like when you do a lot of things in life, it's much easier to do things when you have the support of good people and have the support of those closest to you. And for having for Kieran and the entire McKeever family and our actual wider club, having the support of Majella was something that people appreciated so much. She was just an absolutely fantastic person. And I won't be able to do her justice here just in a couple of minutes chatting about her, but she was just somebody always thought about others, always put other people first. Whether she got ladies football established in our club, was instrumental in that, and she was such a great mentor, and it meant a lot to see the ladies team given her guard of honour. Indeed, the whole club. I served in the committee with her in Cullyhanna for many years, and look, we were all devastated. And it's a massive loss to the club, but to Kieran, our county coach, and to the entire McKeever family, it's obviously so much closer and so much more difficult for them. So I just thought it'd be nice to pay that tribute to her. I'm sure a lot of people in Armagh GAA who know her so well, and also just a word on our senior team, and also some of our underage lads led by Paul Hagan. The turnout from from our county sides on Saturday for the funeral, I thought was a real credit to everybody involved. And there was and I know how hard that team are working in preparation for this match, but the way that they gave up their time willingly Saturday morning to come out and pay their respects to Kieran and to the family, and show their respect and condolence on the death of Majella. I thought it was very touching, and it was a great it was a great thing for them all to do, and fair play to Kieran McGeeney and the whole management and the county board for the way that they dealt with that. And it was certainly very much appreciated by all of us in Cullyhanna.
And as I know, you want to pay your respects too to the Monaghan sponsor who had died recently as well.
Yeah, Philip Trainer just unfortunately passed away in New York there, just last weekend. It's very unfortunate. He was a big mate of the Banties, so he was. I remember when I started with Monaghan, he was always there in the background, even though he's far away. I think the further away, the more staunch you come with it for your county. He was always a big Monaghan supporter, and he was always a big backer of the Monaghan team. I know he used to come back from New York, and he used to always come visit the training and have the crack with the lads, and he always had time to chat to you. And finally he got his. In fairness, he always looked after the Monaghan players well, and the Monaghan team. But he finally got his sponsor on the jersey this year, which he would have been very proud of, and the family would have been very proud of. And it's just unfortunate that the sudden passing of him at the weekend. So I just want to give the condolence to the family there as well.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Some kind words for both people's families. So we'll move on to the football then, lads. And I suppose these sides met in the first round of the league, and Dessie, as I said, to start, we had you on that day as well, and we sort of spoke about the rivalry and that, and I suppose that league meeting how do you think that impacts this game? Because I know it was a completely different Monaghan team than the one that's going to take the field on Saturday evening, because like we'll get on to McManus and Darren Hughes later on for the injuries, but they didn't start that day. Fitton Kelly didn't start, Cian Hughes didn't start, and we've seen the emergence of some younger boys coming through, the likes of the Vale and Mulligan and Woods and stuff like that. What impact does that have, Dessie? If you were a player now that had been in that Monaghan team that Armagh beat, is it a case of trying to go out and get revenge, or that was the league, it's over and done with, and this is a new competition now?
Yeah, I suppose remember, like, yeah, Armagh look like they never stopped training. They look very, very good in shape now for a couple of months off. No, listen, I think Monaghan had a good league campaign there. They tried out a lot of new players, especially in that first match. Like Armagh and Killeen, different players there. Sean Jones would have played it. A lot of lads would have got a lot of game time, and not probably relying on the likes of Conor McManus and Darren Hughes and probably the older players. So they would have had to learn quick. And I thought that the Monaghan management used the league well, because they introduced a lot of new players for Monaghan, and that's what Monaghan needed. They needed to unearth a few new players, and I think that's what they've done. They only had one loss in the league. That was to Armagh, was the first match. So I couldn't fault them there. Armagh, credit to them, they were moving well that day. Again, they were looking to remain in Division 1. They wanted that status because that would have been a good uplift towards Kieran McGinney and his management squad. Knowing that they're going to stay in Division 1, I suppose that first game was very important to them. But I feel Monaghan has come on leaps and bounds from that match. It showed in the Donegal game and the Galway game as well there. Thing about Monaghan as well, they were scoring highly there in the league as well, so that's a good look coming in towards the championship, and they put up another big score against Fermanagh. I suppose that what teams are trying to do now is try and put up them big scores. But overall, like Aaron Mulligan, Keelan Bell, Sean Jones, unfortunately he picked up that injury in the league. Monaghan were looking good there with the new players, so Monaghan would have been quite happy enough there at the minute.
And Paddy, Armagh obviously delighted with their league campaign, and have made it through to Ulster semi-final, where we expected to be really. We expected to see off Antrim in the first round, and Monaghan expected to see off Fermanagh in the first round as well. This was the semi-final we were all talking about. We were even talking about it in our preview to that league game. Do you see the league having any impact, Paddy, or does it mean anything heading into this weekend?
I'm not sure that individual match means too much. It obviously gives Monaghan just that wee bit of motivation, I suppose. But if you take the league as a whole, if you take the 4 matches that Armagh played at Division 1, I think as a block of games, they really matter. I think they'll have given this Armagh team immense confidence. We talked about it a few times on the podcast, Sean. That this is an Armagh team that over the past couple of months have taken a really noticeable step forward. On a really practical level, they've established themselves as a Division 1 team. They were competitive in every single game. They won 2 of them. They drew 1 and they lost another, and they weren't too far behind Tyrone that day. So I do think from an Armagh perspective, all that has gone before in the league matters. I think it's that this team is emerging. It's at the it's making the progress that we'd all hoped it would make over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. So yeah, look, Armagh's season has gone well so far, but look, if they can't go ahead, Saturday is still going to be an almighty tussle, and it's an absolute 50-50 game. I know that's a cliche, but that's the reality of it, and that's exactly how the bookmakers see it. They can't split the 2 teams, and it's going to be hard for a lot of pundits too either. And I'd say it'll be hard. It'll be hard for the 2 teams to split from each other on Saturday. Could be a long day.
And Dessie, you sort of touched on it there, Monaghan's form coming into this game. Like, they haven't been beat from that day against Armagh, drew with Tyrone and Donegal, beat Galway to stay up in Division 1, then obviously beat Fermanagh in the first round of the Ulster Championship as well. What would you put that down to? Is it maybe more experienced heads coming into the starting lineup, or what was the big change that in their form? I know against Donegal, like McCarthy emerged as a real danger man, and that's sort of where you have wanted him in the last couple of years. He obviously got his hat trick that day, but what was the big change in Monaghan's form?
I think it's just all the forwards now starting to contribute. Probably not relying on Manzi as much. I know he's going to get you your scores, that's for definite. But it's just the younger lads coming in, and then probably the elder states lads as well. You know, Jack McCarn had a massive game against Galway, and he chipped in with a goal there against Fermanagh. And you know, if you're going to go forward in the championship, that's what you're going to need a variety of scores in your forward line. And that's what Monaghan's starting to create. And they scored at 120 again there at the weekend, a couple of weekends ago. And if you want to go forward in the championship, you know, that them later rounds, you need to be putting high scores in, and maybe that will leave you open at the back a wee bit more. But again, if you're creating chances, if you're getting them scores, which Monaghan were, and I saw the players are getting the scores, which is great to see. I think that has been a bonus towards Monaghan this year. If they want to move forward, that they have the other players that can get their own scores, and not just relying on the 1 and 2, and maybe not relying on Rory for the big 65s or the kicks from the midfield. You know, but other players are starting to stand up. You know, you Stephen Hanlon there as well. He's going really well. You know, once he gets on the ball, he hopefully now. It's going to be hot at the weekend, and the likes of that there would suit Stevie Hannon, the hard ground, and with his pace, you know, he could do damage. You could see him maybe on Earth this weekend also.
And I suppose there's different types of pressure on both teams this weekend, and Monaghan are maybe seen as a team in transition that's trying to get these new boys in to maybe been able to hold like a Darren Hughes in reserve, or maybe a Fintan Kelly in reserve to come on in the last 20 minutes when the game opens up a bit. Is there any pressure on Monaghan this weekend, Dessie? I know we're saying it's a 50-50 game, and it can't be split, but championship experience probably would weigh heavily in Monaghan's favour. They obviously have a couple of Ulster titles and Ulster finals under their belts in the last couple of years. What do you think of the pressure for Monaghan this weekend, or is there any pressure on this team to go ahead and get to an Ulster final?
No, listen, it's an Ulster final at stake. There's always a pressure of both teams. You know, like it or lump it, you want to get to that Ulster final. It's a massive occasion, and with crowds coming back to games as well now, it adds that wee bit more intense in the stadium. I know it's going down to an area that might suit Armagh. It's a tight pitch like the athletics ground, so Armagh swung that one okay. Like going forward, I don't know. A lot of these players have played in Ulster minor finals, Ulster under 21 finals, and a lot of them would have played in county finals there as well. So there's always going to be pressure, no matter what sport it is, no matter what. If you're the best athlete, at the top athlete go around, you know, they always feel that wee bit of pressure. I think it's good. Darren Hughes is having a good year at Monaghan. I think this is one of his better years at the minute. You know, in the last couple of games, you know, he's been rock solid. He's been there in defence when Monaghan needed him the most, and especially in the Galway match there as well. And he's back in good form, which is great to see, and it's good to see for Monaghan football. You know, Fintan Kelly come on, Collie Walsh come on the other day. Collie Walsh got clipped on a couple of points. You know, it was good to see them lads coming in, finishing out the game. They got a bit of game time, but with a bit of youth and experience there now, it's a nice blend. You know, the Monaghan have enough old heads there now, you know, to keep that young lads right. But you know, being a young footballer, most of the time they don't feel the pressure. You know, I think they just want to go out and play and enjoy the occasion. I think that's one of the most important things.
And Paddy, for Armagh, we've spoke for a couple of weeks now about maybe the pressure of expectation. Monaghan's maybe a team in transition, or Armagh's maybe a team coming out of transition, and they're expected to get to, not expected, but it's hoped that they can, you know, get over a big team like Monaghan and finally get back to that Ulster final stage. I suppose for this team to show that they've really developed in that top team, they need to beat a top team. And I know they played really well against Tyrone Donegal. They didn't beat them, and this weekend they have a chance to beat a really top team.
Yeah, no, it's just to pick up there on something Dessie had said about the tight pitch. I'd heard Monaghan were trying to get the game away from Newry. What you actually should have done, Dessie, rather than giving out of it the tight pitch and the pitches are the same size, you should have told the Ulster Council to go and check what county Park Esler's actually in, because most of it's actually in County Armagh. So if you had gone with that one and said, look, this Armagh shouldn't be allowed to play this game on their home territory, that might have worked a wee bit. That might have worked a wee bit better. But no, essentially, I had heard that Monaghan were pushing against Newry, and look, maybe there's that feeling that they're sort of similar size of pitches. I know Armagh had played, funny enough, that at home game. I don't think if you remember a couple of seasons ago, I don't think Down were too impressed. Armagh went on an illegal holiday during club month, and I'm sure holiday wasn't the phrase that was being used, but they ended up playing a league game at home in Newry, which just happened to be where they were playing in the championship a couple of months later. But anyway, apart from that, yeah, look. If we talk about the mood in the county, Sean, leading up to them, there's expectation around this team, but this team have created that expectation. They've created this that expectation through their performances. They've created it in the 3-4 starting to have those good qualifier runs. A great win against Monaghan a couple of seasons back in Clones. They've started to create more expectation when they get up to Division 1. They create, they then built on that by staying in Division 1, and that's, yeah. Look, people now look at Armagh and they see a team that is on the rise and is hoping to join the top tier of teams. So look, that's just the reality of it, But that's good. That's where Armagh want to be. We're delighted that we're not sitting talking about Armagh football and look, can we finally get out of Division 3 this year? And maybe if we get a good draw or whatever, might we get a wee bit of a run in the qualifiers. That's not what you want. You want well, certainly as a supporter, and no doubt as players and man, you want to be at the top table. But the point is, the Monaghan have been there. And they've been there for a long time, and they've relatively recently been very, very close to getting to All Ireland finals and the like. So, yeah, look, transition. Yeah, it's a phrase that gets used. In 2019, would Armagh been seen as in transition when they beat when they beat Monaghan? Certainly, there wouldn't have been as much expectation around us now. But look, Monaghan are a team that have been there for quite some time, and have been competitive and have been a Division 1 team for however many years, and that's what Armagh want to be. They want to be a Division 1 team that's competing and getting Ulster finals. And look, Saturday is a tremendous opportunity to do that. But it's to a large extent, when the ball's thrown up on Saturday, what the expectations are within the county aren't going to matter a whole pile.
And lads, heading into this game, both sides have injury concerns, and I know for Armagh, the likes of Ryan Kennedy, Aidan Falker, Ross McQuillan, they didn't hog out the last day. They weren't in the 26. While Monaghan was different. Darren Hughes and Conor McManus, they went off injured in their match. 2 weeks is probably a good bit till for Kennedy and Falker and that to get ready. In terms of Darren Hughes and McManus, Dessie Mone, I'm sure you're not going to tell us too much.
They're gone.
I'm sure McManus, being your club man, you'll know what the story is with him. Whether you're going to tell us or not is a different story.
He's gone into hibernation. He's moved around the country for a while. Listen, the only thing with Darren there, Darren walked off the pitch, which is a good sign. I know when you get it. I've only ever got one dead leg, and a dead leg is not nice to get. If you don't get too bad of one, it could be a week or 2 weeks. If you get a bad one, you're talking 3 or 4 weeks with a bad dead leg, unfortunately. Knowing the two lads, they'll do everything right to get their body right again for the for this semi-final. Knowing Conor there, Manzi there, he'll do everything to get himself possibly ready for this weekend. you're the likes of them injury, you're really not going to know until maybe the Thursday or the Friday, how the body's feeling. You get up that morning, you might just do a quick, meet with the physio and do a quick, just a quick check over to see what way you are. Dead leg it's a funny one. It depends how quick it's going to heal. And Armagh's probably not going to know until the two boys are going to have a jersey on them on Saturday or not. But them two boys will do everything they can to get playing, and knowing them two lads, they play to 50 or 60 or 70%, and no problem. They'd push through the pain, but whether they'll start, I don't know, or they're going to take them on or risk them. I'm not too sure. That's going to be down to the management. So on the injury front, it's up in the air at the minute with them two lads.
I think there's no doubt about it. Like, Armagh is going to be preparing as if the two lads are starting. And I sort of want to talk about the matchups then, and we're going to go through them as if the two lads are starting, because that's the way Kieran McGeaney will be thinking. I think Falker and Kennedy will be good to go. And again, it's maybe a bit like Hughes McManus, whether they're fit from the start, I'm not sure. But Paddy, how do you see Armagh lining up? I have a few notes written down. Going back to that 2019 game, it was Aidan Falker went in and picked up McManus, and I think he had McManus till a point from play, so that's probably a matchup we'll see again. Maybe Kennedy, he'll go with Jack McCarron, and Morgan is probably Armagh's third dollar man marker, and he'll maybe go on Conor McCarthy. There's a few Monaghan forwards that need marked. You still have Monaghan there, you have O'Hanlon, Bonnigan. It's a tough forward line to come up against, but I suppose McCarthy, McCarron and McManus are the three real danger men, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. I think you're probably spot on there, Sean. Definitely, if Conor McManus starts, you'd expect that Aidan Falker will go over and mark him, because that's just the role that Aidan's had over the last couple of seasons. But look, the matchups are important. They're interesting to talk about. But look, sometimes it's as much about the shape, being focused, being switched on. If you even think back to the second half of the league game, and I'd mentioned it before in the podcast, Sean, at sort of the water break, I was really, really worried, because Monaghan were causing Armagh serious damage. They were cutting through, but Armagh got organised again. The personnel was largely the same, in the fourth quarters it had been in the third, but just Armagh were more focused, they were more switched on, and they were much better defensively, and they were snuffing out all those dangerous moments. So those things can be just as important as the matchups. And again, look, it'll be an interesting one now on Saturday. Everybody arrives into the ground and trying to work out what exactly Monaghan are doing.
I suppose, Dessie, in terms of Monaghan defensively, the Armagh have a maybe 4 or 5 forwards as well that's going to need man mark. You would know better than me. I'm only sort of guessing here on our matchups. I was thinking Kieran Duffy maybe on Ryan O'Neill, Conor Boyle on Campbell, and maybe Ryan Wiley then on Rory Grugan. Is that near enough, or what do you see happening?
Yeah, maybe Conor Boyle might go on and Ryan O'Neill, maybe, because he picked them up in the Ulster Club Championship there. Same as Killian, he might pick up Oshin in midfield as well, just with the two boys marking him in the club championship. But yeah, I'd say he wouldn't be too far. I'd say Kieran might go on Stefan there. He wouldn't be too far off. Listen, that's one of the key things, is getting your matchups right and getting the right players going on the right player. I know Kieran Duffy's playing well there. I know he's attacking as well. So I know Stefan didn't have one of his better games the last day, so he was kind of on the back foot. In fairness to Antrim, McGinley had Antrim well schooled and well drilled in that match. Antrim made it tough for the Armagh forwards to get going. So Mone might be looking at that game to see how Stefan didn't get into a couple of them, the main players didn't get into in the forward line, and see maybe they can maybe copy that again and put them on the back foot. But again, I'd say your matchups aren't too far off there. I'd say that's what they're going to go with.
I want to get your opinion on this, Dessie. Carl O'Connell obviously got one of the match against Fermanagh, and I think it's fairly obvious that Jamar Hall is going to pick him up. He done a very good job on Ryan McHugh in the league meeting. You've played both, Dessie. You've been a man-marking cornerback, and you've been an attack-minded wing halfback. How will Carl O'Connell deal with getting man-marked? Because I'm sure defenders aren't used to getting man-marked, obviously, but Armagh have to tag him because he's a real influence going forward.
Yeah, he's a bit like Darren this year again. Though he's back in form now and he's playing very well. You can see it during the Fermanagh match. He was getting blocks in, and then he was getting his scores in as well. It's very hard to mark and manage. With Carl's speed there, it's probably one of the, if not, it is the fastest halfback in the country at the minute. It's a serious thing to trying to deal with. Carl, Jamar will probably is going to have a tough time because, and Jamar's playing good football as well. It's going to be a nice key matchup. I think that's going to be important. That's going to be probably one of the most important matchups come this weekend. Is Jamar going to pick up Carl and trying to stop Carl with it? The big thing is stopping Carl with them runs, and it's a very hard thing to do if you're trying to constantly keep up with Carl. It can be a very tiresome job. But I suppose Jamar, that's kind of his role. That's what probably McGeaney has drilled into him there now, and that's sometimes when you're doing that so often, you deal with it and you try and manage it to the best of your ability. And there's that's the way that I think Jamar is going to approach that. But again, it's good to see Carl back in form. Good to see him getting scores, linking him with play, and that's only good for Monaghan football.
And Paddy, we spoke the last day about Armagh. Well, we probably speak every podcast about Armagh's attacking quality. The 10 scores the last day out, I think I counted Monaghan had 12 against Fermanagh. This is two attack-minded teams that in the modern day, obviously, every team gets players back, but they love to attack as well in Armagh. While everybody didn't have big compliments for the long kick pass the last day into the square, they do like to kick it forward, and we've seen that against Donegal to great effect. Once Armagh did turn the ball over, they were fit to kick it till somebody on the 45-metre line and work their attack then. Two good forward lines. I'm not sure if a shootout is going to happen, but can we expect a high-scoring game?
Hopefully, Sean. Look, every game can be different, but certainly the trend's been sort of towards that. I mean, I was looking back actually at that game 2 years ago, the qualifier in Clonus. We with 13 different scores, we scored 217. And obviously, if we can get a repeat of that, we'll be delighted, both in terms of the result and the quality of the performance from Armagh. Yeah, look, it's going to be a tense game too. And you don't necessarily have to see loads of goals. And I mean, look at the game. Okay, what was it, 14-13? The game on Sunday between Donegal and Derry. There weren't any goals in the game. Still a really high quality match. So look, probably it's going to be a tense game. And if it starts in a sort of a high scoring way, maybe it'll continue like that. Whereas, if it's a bit more tense and cagey, and every score is going to be vital. But look, hopefully it's a good game. I think probably the other thing is that hopefully we'll have a decent crowd. I haven't heard of any exact numbers yet. But I'd be hoping that we could take another step forward in terms of the amount of people that will have, given the given the new position that we'll have in the north. I know that was sort of very rushed when the before the Antrim game.
Don't think we'll have a ticket to the Armagh supporters then.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. I don't know. You're not allowed to come, or you have to be careful.
You're trying to get everything going.
Or only vaccinated people, maybe. We'll see that. We'll try that. Try and get these vaccinations. But anyway, yeah. But no, look, it would be. Look, the tickets. All joking aside, the tickets will have to be split. But I would like to see some sort of reasonable crowd. That could be managed in a safe way.
And Dessie, we sort of pinpointed Carl O'Connell as a key player for Monaghan that's going to have to be man-marked. Another key player that can't be man-marked is Rory Bagan. And I suppose we've seen Armagh in the league and against Antrim. Once they win a free kick, a scoreable free kick or a mark, they tend to press up and press up on that kick out. Rory Began was seen with Potton at the weekend. He's just going to kick over that press. He can kick it to the 445, and Rory Began's obviously the same. How do Armagh deal with that, or is it possible to deal with that? Because we know Began is an excellent keeper, and his kickouts are going to be tough to plan for. And then I suppose defensively he's so good as well because he can play that sweeper keeper role. And we had the strange situation that he was up fouling the Galway keeper in that game. So how do Armagh stamp out his impact on the game, or is it possible?
You can see maybe Blaine coming out playing a bit more of a sweeper role this weekend as well for the Monaghan kickouts. Listen, it's just a new thing. Rory's probably Cluxton did, I think, against Kerry a couple of years ago there, didn't he? He kind of started that, and then probably Rory and Patton took it to a new level there. And Niall Morgan, I seen a league match as well. He came out to round midfield. I think he caught a couple of balls against Donegal in the league match. It's just probably creating that extra pressure for the opposition keeper. If he's looking for that long pass or he's looking for that quick out, I know most teams now are looking for their quick kick out, but they want the quick kick out going past the 45 or in around the midfield area. And I think Rory's just what they're trying to do, the keepers now, but they're trying to cut that kick out as well. The less time the ball is up around that scoring threat or up at the opposing player's forward line, it's safer off for that particular team. It's going to be hard to deal with because Rory's coming out and he's getting closer and closer to scoring a point from play. It's nearly been a tight pitch there. It could be possible you could see him kick one over this weekend, but you don't know. But again, Rory will be sensible. He'll know when to go and when not to go. Semi-finals are there for winning. Semi-finals are not there to play anything fancy. They're there to just get over the line and get yourself into the final. That's what semi-finals are for. I'm sure both teams will be thinking the same thing. I'm sure they're not going to be thinking we have to please the crowd or have to please the pundits and get high scoring. The two teams just want to get a win and get out of there as quick as they can, and then maybe they can prepare for that Ulster final.
And just to finish up then, man, there's been a lot of debates in recent weeks about the provincial setup and the championship structures. And while we're not going to get into it in any great depth, I think everybody is sort of talking about it now. Paddy, the provincial structure and that Ulster's maybe the only thing keeping it alive. But there's no underestimating how big an Ulster final is going to be for Armagh. Like, we haven't been there from 2008. Whether we win it or not, I don't know. We'll have to get there first. But if Armagh can get over the line this weekend and reach an Ulster final, it's going to be huge for the fans, for Geezer, and for this team.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No, and that's not that's not really being questioned. I don't think. Yeah, look, the single most disappointing thing about that has been an Armagh supporter over the last 10 years or so has been a bit, and certainly in the last 5 has been a 5 or 6 or 7 has been our record in Ulster. We haven't been to a final since 2008. If you actually think back to 2008, we didn't really appreciate it at all. Because we'd won so many Ulsters. That was the great irony of that. At last time we were in the final and we beat Farney in a game they could have won. And if you'd asked every Armagh supporter, would you swap that win for the quarter final in 2004, they'd have snapped your hand off. And if you'd asked every Farney supporter, would you swap the Ulster final win for the quarter final in 2004, they'd have been delighted too. That was the irony of that game. But look, 13 years is a long time. And absolutely, the Ulster Championship is something that, Armagh at this stage in terms of trying to win something, and that's the next step. When you try to establish yourself at the top table, then you want to go on and win things. And look, Ulster's more achievable at this stage than they're going on to win the All Ireland. There's an opportunity there, and it will be a massive thing. And winning championships is what sport, what the GAA being involved in a team is about. I suppose that the point in terms of structures, and I know we're not getting into the detail of it, but we're all involved with our clubs. Nobody questions when it comes to club football that that you grade teams appropriately, that you have a junior championship, an intermediate championship, and a senior championship. And certainly I can recall our own club winning intermediate championships, and there was an awful lot thought of us. And it's huge. You see it every year, Sean, in the athletic grounds with the junior and intermediate championship finals, how much that means. And just this idea that we're sort of wedded to the structure that we have in our senior inter-county game with 32 teams, and the level of inequality that there is there, fundamentally in population and playing numbers. Doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me, but it does seem that the tides begin to turn in terms of needing change. Yeah.
And I suppose, Dessie, like we're talking about Armagh, the Ulster Championship meaning so much to Armagh and getting back maybe to that final. You have 2 Ulster medals, and I'm sure you wouldn't change that for the world, getting over the line them 2 occasions. And I think the first one was the first Ulster title Monaghan won in 25 years or something. So, like, what's your views on maybe getting rid of the provincial system, or what the Ulster Championship means up here?
Yeah, well, listen, it's not fair on teams either getting 10-point beatings or 15 or 20-point beatings at the weekend as well. But your provincial is, after 25 years of not winning anything, and after listening for like 10 years that you'll never win anything, why do you play for the county and all this crack? And then when you go finally win it, it's just, listen, it's an unbelievable feeling. It's a great feeling. It's a feeling that you'll always have throughout your life, and then probably them 2 wins. But the only problem is, they're talking about restructuring, if they're talking about getting rid of provincials, once you start talking like that, and once you get rid of provincials, you'll never get that, and you'll never get that history back. That's the only thing. And then on the other side is you don't want to see Armagh give. Antrim did well up to a certain period. In fairness, Antrim were very impressive in that game. But then when it just come to the end, you could see the different Division 1. You can see the difference in the ability of fitness levels, and this seeing out games, how strong Armagh seeing out that game, and it's the same for Monaghan there as well, how strong they finish out the game. They probably have to look at something to structure, but try and keep provincials. But as in club football, there you have your junior, you have your intermediate, and you have your senior, and you're saying there, and nobody questions it. And when you win that title in junior, when you win that title in intermediate and senior, it's all the same. It's your one club, and everybody's delighted with it. So it's something they're going to have to look at, because nobody wants to see other teams getting tankings like that at weekend. And the unfortunate thing is, it's these teams are only going to get stronger. They're only going to get bigger and stronger. And as your teams do well, it's a bit like Dublin there. As your teams do well, more sponsorship, more people want to get in on the act, and that's probably when money starts coming in like that as well. People, once your county starts to win, once you start winning, once they're playing at that top tier, it's good for advertising, things like that there. So it's a balance. It's going to have to take a good rethink, and a lot of thought's going to have to go into it, and not rushed. But still, your provincial, when you win your provincial, it's an unbelievable feeling. You had Tipperary there last year. They won it. The only thing in Leinster, who's going to come out of Leinster over the next 10 years? You only can see Dublin at the minute. That's the problem there.
Fingal and South Dublin. Dunleary Rock down.
Pardon?
Fingal, South Dublin.
Oh.
That's what needs to happen. But anyway, that's another show. That's not really going to impact Saturday's game, is it?
I don't think we'll be splitting Dublin, but on this podcast, but man, yeah, thanks very much. We're looking forward to the game, and it's a huge opportunity for both teams to get into an Ulster final. And just before we finish up, congratulations to the Armagh Camogues, who were crowned Ulster Intermediate champions with a huge win over Antrim last weekend. And good luck this weekend to the Armagh Hurlers. They take on Leitrim in the Nicky Record Cup, while the Armagh ladies are out again this weekend. They take on Cavan in round 2 of their All-Ireland round robin stage. So, man, thanks very much for coming on and talking us through what to expect this weekend. hopefully we'll get an Armagh win and home advantage will see us home. Thanks very much, lads.
All right, cheers. Thanks.